Good morning, everyone. I'll just give it a minute or so for more people to join, and then we can get started. Okay, we have quite a few participants now, so I think we can begin today's webinar. So good morning, everyone, sorry, and a very warm welcome to the Inspire Europe Plus webinar on applying for EU funding opportunities as an at-risk researcher. So I will give a brief introduction to the Inspire Europe Plus project, and we'll go over a few housekeeping rules before I hand over to our three key speakers for today. So I'll just share my screen. Can everyone see my screen okay? Great. So yes, as I said, well, good morning and welcome to today's webinar. So just a few bits of information about the Inspire Europe Plus project. So the Inspire Europe Plus project gets its name from the initiative to support, promote, and integrate researchers at risk in Europe, and it runs until August 2025. Inspire Europe Plus is an EU-funded project involving 7 partners across Europe. The project and partners' aim is to strengthen and coordinate support across Europe for researchers at risk. The project builds on the work undertaken by the Inspire Europe project, which ran from 2019 to 2022, and proceeds from the view that excellence in research depends upon free and open scientific debate and requires a diversity of perspectives and methodologies to flourish. Yet, challenges to academic freedom and related pressures on individual researchers remain significant globally. In many countries and regions, researchers face risks to their life, liberty, and research careers. When researchers are at risk and excluded from participating in the global research circuit, whether due to discrimination, persecution, disaster, or violence, not only are individual lives and careers at risk, the very future of research is also at stake. Therefore, in recognition of a shared commitment to excellence in research and to the principles of freedom of inquiry and academic freedom that are essential for world-class research, the Inspire Europe Plus project partners will coordinate activities across Europe to support researchers at risk through to 2025. This includes direct guidance through webinars and trainings, such as today's webinar, building institutional capacity and preparedness for support, advising national level initiatives, informing European policy, and raising awareness to diversify support for researchers at risk in Europe. Just so that everybody can see, here are the project partners, and we also have associate partners as part of the project. So I'm very pleased to introduce our three key speakers for today. Before each speaker starts their presentation, I will give a proper introduction to them, but just a very brief introduction to the three of them. We are very kindly joined by Maria Mitic, who is a policy analyst at the European Commission under the Mary Skidalska-Curie Actions Unit. We are joined by Jennifer Board, who sits within the International Office at the University of Bordeaux. And finally, Dr. Refet Yalcin, who is a research engineer at Saint-Gobain Research Institution. So just a few housekeeping rules. This actually hasn't been updated, I do apologize. The chat function is actually open today, so participants are able to chat with each other. I ask that you do so respectfully. And if you do not wish your names to be seen, please do ensure that you either remove your name or use a pseudonym. You will also see that there is a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Questions can be raised throughout today's webinar, and we encourage you to do so throughout the webinar. We will have time for a Q&A at the end of the session, so please do ensure that you are submitting any questions. Again, if you do not wish your name to be seen, please do ensure that you click the submit anonymously button before sending any of your questions in. We will also be loading a very short poll at the end of the webinar, just to gain a little bit of feedback, which we would be most grateful if you could complete. It's only a few short questions, but we'd be most grateful for the feedback. So I will now fully introduce our first speaker for today. So we are joined by Maria Mitic, sorry. I'm sorry, Maria, I will let you introduce yourself as my screen has frozen. I do apologize.
No, no worries. Hello, good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you are. I think you've said that, so yes, already that I'm policy analyst at the Marine School of Security Reactions, so the program that, among others, also funds Inspire Europe Plus project. Part of my work in the unit involves also policy monitoring of the developments on academic freedom from the MSCA perspective and also R&I perspective. And I'm also policy officer of several projects that, such as Inspire Europe Plus, that work on supporting researchers at risk and academic freedom at large and safeguarding international talent, so to speak. So this is why I'm here today. Also, what I will do is, and I will try now to share my screen while introducing what I will do today, is also in line with the webinar to present to you funding opportunities under MSCA. I think I am on the right one. You will tell me. No, I'm not. I'm sorry. Just a second. I don't know if you can see my presentation.
It's not on the PowerPoint.
It's not?
No, we're seeing your internet browser.
I'm very sorry because I'm sharing. Okay, I'm very sorry. Just give me a second. I will try again. If not, Zoom is, okay. I think I should be fine now. Let me see. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Full screen. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Yes. So as I said, so I will today give you some information about the funding opportunities MSCA at large. So the actions that we have supporting researchers at risk, not only researchers at risk, but also researchers from any nationality and any scientific domain. But then I will also give you some information about the specific actions we have that support researchers at risk. Given the time, I will not go into every detail, but since the presentation will be shared, you will have the opportunity then to look into it further. So as I said, to start with, just to give you a bit of the background in case you're not familiar with the program, Marine Skłodowska Key Reactions, or MSCA in short, is a program that is part of the EU's R&I framework program, Horizon Europe. And we are considered to be a flagship program for training and mobility of researchers. So we provide because the program is based on excellence, we provide high quality training. And by mobility, it means that the design of the program is such that it involves a mandatory mobility of researchers. So they relocate to the host country and host institution. And there are certain conditions there to be met, which I put in the footnote. And with this, I also would like to say that despite of this mandatory mobility, we have also understanding and being very or trying to be as accommodating as possible to the condition of researchers at risk. We also try to provide some exceptions, let's say, for researchers who are in the procedure of obtaining refugee status when we calculate these mobility requirements. So you can see here the budget of the program over the 7 years. And as I said already, the program is a bottom-up, meaning that we do not have any specific thematic geographic quotas or priorities. So we are only excellence-based, and we support researchers of any nationality, career stage, and field, as you will see actually in the next slides. So the main actions that I will go through in the presentation today are the four that you see here on the slide. The program itself, in fact, has 5 main actions, the 5th one being one that focuses on outreach and communication.
Sorry,
yes?
these slides aren't changing.
They're not changing.
No, I think it needs to go into, I'm not sure if you have it in presentation mode, but we can only
Yes,
see
I
the
can.
PowerPoint.
Now?
No, we can just see the first.
Because it is changing. Because it is changing on my screen, on
Okay.
both of my screens. So I don't know how else I can. And now?
We can see it changing when you do that.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. I will try again. Let me try again. Just a second.
No worries.
Let us see, because I will try what is possible and see. So you don't see me now changing slides?
No.
Well, this happens sometimes. Let me try again. And now? No, I cannot change now.
No, it's the same.
Maybe.
I'm very sorry. Maybe we can just swap and you can.
Yeah, you want me to
Well,
share?
if it's not changing from your side, then I don't think I can do anything because I've tried
Okay.
the settings. I'm very
Yeah.
sorry for this.
Not a problem. I can share the slides. Does that work?
So yeah, well, we see it now. So if you could go just to the third one, I think this, which is where I.
Is it this one or the next?
Thank you. It was this one, but we can, we can slowly move to the next one. Well,
Okay.
because I will go into detail. I will go into detail, well, into more detail about each of these actions.
Okay.
So we can move to the doctoral networks that I wanted to present. Next. Yes, thank you. Okay. So go one backwards. Thank
there we
you. Yeah, exactly. So doctoral networks, again, as I said, I will not go into all the details, but I put all of this information here for your later reference. But one of the programs that we have are supporting, so the creation of excellent doctoral networks to which then individual researchers can apply. Each of our doctoral networks supports between 10 and 15 early career researchers. So as you can see here, I've just put some of the, I would say, highlights that will be mainly applicable for the other actions, and I will explain, again, just for your reference, is that candidates, doctoral candidates of any nationality can apply, that there is the mobility rule I already mentioned, and quite generous salaries. So the researchers are employed by the hosting institution, and there are different types of, if applicable, additional allowances that we provide through the program. You can see also the information about the duration of the fellowships that are provided between 3 months and 3 years. And in case of joint doctorates, because we have several types of doctoral networks, it can be up to 4 years. And this information is available on your Access portal that I will mention briefly also later, because all the organizations providing fellowships are actually obliged to provide this information online. So we can move to the next slide to show you also the opportunities that we have for researchers who already have a PhD degree. So postdoctoral fellowships, where in fact the application goes a little bit different, because and I think we will hear actually from Refat later, because the researcher applies together with the host institution to our program for the funding. And again, there are no limitations when it comes to the scientific area or to the nationality. So again, the selection is based on excellence. We are aware of the program overall, especially postdoctoral fellowships, are quite competitive. So it is always good, I think, to hear experiences and to, on how to apply, what are the best, ways to go about it. What I would like to mention here is that as of in Horizon Europe, we have introduced the novelty, and this is the last bullet point that I have, as the 6-month non-academic placement. So we provide also the opportunity for researchers, if they wish so this is not mandatory, to have an additional period of 6 months after their fellowship to be hosted by a non-academic institution, which is also funded, thinking about then the use and exploitation of the research results during the fellowship. So the duration of the fellowship, as you can see here, varies depending on the type of fellowship, because we have two types, European and global. Again, I've put some conditions here on the side in the box, and you can find also more information on our website, and the link will be provided in the presentation. Again, as I said, the researcher applies together with the host, but this information can also be found on Eurexis. So all the vacancies that are available, or if the institution is looking for a researcher to apply together, this is all published on Eurexis and is available publicly. So if we can move to the next slide, where I will yes, well, I'm finishing with the part on specific fellowships. So this is co-fund. We have an action which actually, as the name says, co-funds existing programs. So programs that exist at the regional, national, international level are topped up through the MSCA funding, but the individual researchers themselves then can apply to these programs again for either as part of doctoral programs or postdoctoral programs. And again, similar rules apply as the ones that I already mentioned, and the vacancies are published also on Eurexis. So this is just to give you an overview. It's a lot of information because we have different actions that provide fellowships, as you can see. But what is very important here to highlight is that there are no geographic or scientific limitations in terms of topics, and that all this information is publicly available. So the last action I would like to mention, it's on the next slide, which is slightly different, is staff exchanges. And this is an action that enables researchers, and not only researchers, to go on short-term mobilities. Now, within this action, we do not provide fellowships, as I said, because the researchers don't apply for this, but they have to be already employed by the institution that takes part in this consortium of staff exchanges. And if they are part of the institution and employed, they can go on one longer or several shorter secondments or mobilities to another organization in the consortium for training and exchange and research cooperation purposes. As you can see here, the duration is between 1 month and 1 year. And this is something where basically researchers, as I said already, are part of the organization, and then they can go on mobility for training. And it's an action that does not only support research staff, but also administrative, technical, and managerial staff of the participating organizations can take part in this mobility. And this is an action, in fact, that is the most international. So we have the highest number of actually participating non-EU and non-associated countries in the program. So with this, I stop with the part on general information on funding within MSCA, and we can move now to the next slide, where I would like to share a bit of information on the. I'm not seeing the slide changing. If we can just move further. Okay. So yes, this one was just a table that gives you information about the call openings. So you will see this when you receive the presentation on all the call openings and deadlines for application for all the actions that I mentioned. But here now, I would like to give you a little bit of information on the initiatives that we have under MSCA that target specifically researchers at risk or organizations that support researchers at risk, such as those that are part of the Inspire Europe Plus consortium, for example. This slide provides an overview of what we have under MSCA. As I said, we have some provisions in the work program that try to support participation of researchers at risk in our actions and projects. We have guidelines on the inclusion of researchers at risk. I will talk about this in a minute. And we have several projects, which means we provide grants as the program through several initiatives that support researchers at risk in different ways and modalities. I will tell you about this shortly. So if we can move to the next slide yes, as I mentioned, we have together and with support of the consortium of Inspire Europe, project, which is the predecessor of Inspire Europe Plus. So the first grant that we funded under MSCA between 2019 and 2022. The guidelines are a document that provides, as it says, so it provides guidance and it provides examples for organizations and institutions interested in hosting researchers at risk, provides some examples of good practice on how customized and targeted support can be provided at different stages to researchers at risk. And as I said, this is a document that we have developed with great support of the Inspire Europe consortium, and a document that is publicly available, and we try to promote this to our beneficiaries in the MSCA program. The next slide, please, is just an overview. Again, I will not go into detail. This is just to show you, as I said already, we support also several projects with the grants we have in the program. One of them, Inspire Europe Plus, within which we are here today, that runs from 2022 to mid-2025. Again, grant for support for enhancing coordination at European level and support of researchers at risk. As you see now, as we know, the project also provides training and guidance for researchers, for employers. So it is an example of good practice and cooperation at European level. So this is something that we have, as I said, this is the funding that we have provided since 2019. And on top of this, MSCA provides fellowships specifically for researchers from Ukraine. So I would say it was a very swift response at the time by the program, by the Commission in general, to the situation in Ukraine and to the war. And already since 2022, we have mobilized resources to set up a fellowship scheme for researchers from Ukraine to continue their work in Europe and in different countries and hosts. And so far the project already funds or will fund soon over 170 researchers from Ukraine, and we hope that this will continue. And a last example of this that I wanted to mention, which is not legally speaking part of MSCA program, so it's not funded by the program itself, but it's supported in terms of implementation, is the SAFE project, the one at the left bottom corner. So this is, in fact, an action that is supported by the European Parliament, and it is the Commission and our unit implementing it or managing it. It is an action that will last for 3 years, and it will test the possibility of a European fellowship scheme for researchers at risk. Also, thanks to the colleagues from the Inspire Europe Plus, and thanks to stakeholders who are working hard to support researchers at risk, we have discussed with the Parliament and reached an agreement to have an action of this kind to see how viable it is, the possibility of having such a fellowship scheme, with the hope of having this turn into a fully fledged program in the future. So the SAFE just started in September. It will last for 3 years, and it will provide up to 60 fellowships to researchers at risk from all over the world. The applications closed in January, and we expect the fellowships to start mid this year. So we can move to the next slide, where, again, I will not go into detail. I already mentioned Euraxis. These are just some of the snapshots, and there is a link to the portal that provides information to researchers on job opportunities, on matchmaking opportunities, and different kind of guidance for researchers who are looking for different opportunities to be mobile and to be also to get guidance on different aspects, especially if moving to another country. So there is a lot of very useful practical information. So I really encourage you, if you have not done so already, to consult the portal. And I think if we move to the next slide, indeed, these are, so I will not go into detail. These are just some of the resources and links that you can use that are quite useful and practical for you searching for further information about some of the things that I have mentioned in the presentation. And I think this will be it from my side. And again, apologies for the slide confusion.
Thank you, Maria. Not a problem with the slides. as we mentioned, we will be sharing everyone's presentations at the end of today's webinar. So don't worry about taking note of all the links. You'll have those in the presentations once we share them with you. Thank you, Maria. That was really insightful. And I'm sure that everyone found it very useful. We will now move on to the next speaker for today. Apologies, I am just getting up the bios for each speaker. So we are joined by Jennifer Board. So Jennifer has worked at the University of Bordeaux as an international projects officer since 2009. She has specialized in programs for excellence, international cooperation, and international career development. She is an advisor for funding programs such as Horizon Europe, Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions, Fulbright, DAAD, and so on. And she is also an expert in writing competitive project proposals. Jennifer is also the university coordinator for the support of scientists at risk. I will now hand over to Jennifer.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody, and thank you for the invitation. I will try to share my screen, so please let me know. Here. Do you see it? It's
Yes.
better?
Yeah, we can see. It's in presentation mode. That's
And
great.
if I change, it's okay. Okay. So I will try to explain you some application strategy and give you some tips for success. I will do a focus on the MSCA postdoc program, but it could be the same if you apply for a doctoral project, because I focus on the organization of the writing process and the project. So my first tips is to follow the objective of the program. So this is very, very important to understand the main objective of the funding program. And in the case of MSCA postdoc, the main objective is to support researcher career and foster excellence in research. And the action target researchers who wish to carry out their research activity abroad, acquire new skills, and develop their career. You have to remind this word, and you will understand during the whole slide why I focus on this, number one. The tips number two is to know the funding program. So for that, you need to read the call document, like the work program, the guide for applicant, template of the application, handbook, specifically for MSCA postdoc. And don't forget to read document about open science, data management, interdisciplinarity, gender dimension, and MSCA Green Deal. The tips number three is very important, is ask for help, because you mustn't write something alone. You have to convince the evaluator that you ask all the questions about the host institution and about the future of your project and your career. So it's important to ask for help. So you are the researcher in the middle, and you must have help from the host supervisor, because they will give information about the host institution and about himself or herself. And also from referent person, someone like me. So you must ask the host institution who is the contact for the application process. Another tip is to show a perfect match between you, the researcher, the host institution and supervisor, and the project. This is very important to have a complementarity for the project proposal. Complementarity in discipline, in experience, in transfer of knowledge, So for that, it's important to ask questions during the process of writing application. This is my favorite tips because I think you shouldn't start before doing what I call the exercise 1. So it's like a picture of the project. It's important to write 1 page maximum with project title, general objective and context, specific objective that will make it possible to achieve the general objective, the list of work package. So this is a group of the activity for achieving the specific objective, the duration of the project, and if possible, the plan start, the main step, and you should draft a first Gantt chart, and if possible, list the partner institution and maybe the secondment if relevant. And from this picture of the project, it's important to agree with all the information before starting the application project, because it will be easier after if you do this exercise number 1. Sorry. Another tip, it's because it's a very competitive program, so there is a lot of application and the level is very high, so you must make the difference. And for that, you must add detail about project. And to make the difference, you should write about the originality and innovative aspect of the plan research, novel concept, approaches or method, contribution to European excellence, state of the art, and how the project will go beyond the state of the art, impact of the project, and of course at several levels. And the result of the project should be ambitious and realistic. At the beginning of my presentation, I explained that what is important is to show how you organize a project. And because it's a very competitive program, the evaluator should read something clear and detailed. And in the majority of the MSCA project, it's important to organize the project with 6 work package maximum. So the work packages are the group of the activities. And normally we have 2-3 scientific work package, 1 work package for the activity of management, 1 work package for training, career development, and transfer of knowledge, and another one for dissemination and communication. We normally had in the Gantt chart the major deliverables, so I mean here the outputs, and the major milestone, I mean the steps. In this slide, I show you 3 examples of Gantt chart. They're all from successful application. As you can see, they are different with the color, for example, and the way they explain the different steps. But we can see that all are really detailed. So this is why I want you to understand. So you need to give something really detailed and to convince the evaluators that if you have the fellowship, you are ready to start because you know what to do after. Another important point, it's about something related to the CV, because we will ask you about your experience and your knowledge. And what is important to do is to list achievement reflecting your track record. So what I advise, it's on the one hand, you should have a list of experiences, knowledge, and skills that you need to develop during the project, thanks to the host institution. And in another hand, a list of experience, knowledge, and skills that you can transfer to the project, during the project, thanks to your own profile. So this is important because this demonstrates the usefulness of the fellowship and the transfer of knowledge between you and the host institution. Now I will focus on the three main points that I think it's important to understand if you want to apply to this kind of competitive program. So of course you don't have to use all the information, but you can keep what is in link with your own profile and what you prefer to highlight in the application. So my first point is why add international in your career? For example, the point one is discover a new environment and research system. Two, it's improve your language skill. Three, go on visit for new partnership. 4, publish with international partner. 5, help new cooperation emerging. 6, learn new working method. 7, participate in the elaboration of international European project. And 8, develop your international network. In this same idea, my second focus is about how using university strength to boost your CV. So I mean, how using the host institution strength to boost your CV, not only university. So in this example, in this focus, you should think about be part of an European project, be trained on European program, innovative pedagogy, be involved in writing process of European project, know information about the organization, the host institution, about the team, participate to events, so local, regional, national, international, be actor of teaching and mentoring activity, be coach for European program or public competition, learn and develop an expertise, explore strategy project of the host institution, and be in contact with the actor of the research. And my last focus, it's a really important point to understand this because MSCA program are program for career development. So sometimes we don't understand what are the career driver and how we can develop what are the tools, what are the experience who can develop an international career. So this is not an exhaustive list, but it's sometimes looked on MSCA application. So the career driver could be the quality of training and research supervision received, having access to high quality research facility and laboratory, complementary skill and competence develop, international mobility experience, participation to European program, productivity in terms of research outputs, and a strong research network. My last slide is something to illustrate why I wanted to focus on all these points, because there are real evaluation report from MSCA application. I prefer to show you some positive evaluation, but it could be negative to illustrate. But what I want you to understand is the level of detail required in this kind of application. So, for example, the evaluator wrote, the research problem is clearly described with appropriate references to the state of the art of the field. The second evaluation is individual objectives are clearly defined and aligned with the overall project goals, ensuring a structured approach to achieving the intended outcome. Another one is C, the new competencies and skills that can be acquired during the fellowship are relevant to the research profile. And D, the researcher convincingly demonstrate how the previous expertise will be reinforced during the fellowship. And the last one, it's about the Gantt chart. The Gantt chart is clear and coherent with planned activity per work package, including tasks, deliverables, secondment, training, dissemination, and communication activity. I have just two last slide. It's about useful document in order to help you in the writing process. So I like this document about the common mistake to avoid. And another one, it's the handbook. I don't know how many times I read it, but you must read it. It's the MSCA Postdoctoral Fellowship Handbook. So this one is for 2024, so maybe we will have another one this year, but for 2024, it's okay too. And I finish. So I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Jennifer. That was really insightful and great to highlight, the level of detail required for these applications. So thank you for your presentation. We will now move on to our final speaker for today. So we are joined by Dr. Refet Yalçın. Refet is a Franco-Kurdish scientist working on heat transfer with an expertise in radiative heat transfer. He completed his PhD degree in mechanical engineering from Boğaziçi University. He came to Institut Prime in France in 2019 as a CNRS researcher with the PAUSE program. He has since won 2 prestigious fellowships. With the Fulbright Fellowship, Refet went to UCLA in the beginning of 2021 for a year as a visiting scholar. And then with the MSCA Individual Fellowship, he returned to France at the end of 2021. Since then, Refet has joined Saint-Gobain Research in December 2022 and is currently conducting his research there. Thank you for joining us, Refet. The floor is yours.
Thank you for inviting me. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for the introduction. I'm Refet, and I will present you how did my MSCA fellowship come about. So Lucia already gave the brief details about me, so I'll skip that slide. Also, we are a bit late. So when I came to France, I had just 1 published article and 2 were in the pipeline, but during the time I found opportunities to publish a lot, and when I applied for MSCA, I had 3 published and 2 submitted articles. So the problems I faced, I signed a petition, we will not be a party to this crime with others academics, and prosecutor asked 7.5-year imprisonment of me. There were individual cases, courts. So I came France after first trial with my family and then 4 months old baby of ours. And of course, the most significant problem was the language barrier. And when you have this, the permanent positions are hard to access. And also for the kindergarten, my son has some problems to adapt. And now he's bilingual, but it still affects my mobility. So I cannot think of moving other countries since he will struggle again. And for this, from social point of view, I had limited access to my hobbies, friends, and part of my family, so which left me more time to study. Also, I learned to spend less time with the news of the country that I left. So one of the biggest problems was like I was anxious about my future. So did I enter a postdoc loop when it will end? And it was hard. For the MSCA, I want to share you this link. Also, we will share the slides. This document was like the Bible for me when I was preparing my application. I will show some of its parts, and I addressed each points in the document as long as they were applicable. And the important part was to set the weights because we have a page limit, but even if we hadn't, the reviewers will have some patience to go through all of them. So it's wise to separate the sections according to their weight. So in the document, it clearly tells us that there's a proposal template, and we need to use exactly like the subheadings, everything, because the reviewers have some evaluation template that follows proposal template. So generally when we write the proposal, we look from our perspective, but it's really important to look at it from reviewers' perspective. And they will not be particularly in our field. So also the document says that we need to educate the evaluators. We need to avoid using jargon, not going too much in details where it doesn't need it. I will be more specific. And in my time, there was not a specific part for academics at risk in MSCA. It was in 2020. So I mentioned my risk situation in two sections. One was in funding, that I used a pause program that covered half of my expenses. The other was the integration section that I was already there for like 8 months. I think you can't apply after a year. And I came there, I already integrated and I came there with pause program. And at the end of the day, I came up with a well-prepared proposal. So I didn't expect to get it. But I telling myself, okay, even if I don't get the fellowship, at the end of the day, I will have a good, a solid proposal that I can apply elsewhere. But I was lucky to get it, and I get such a report in detail. You can get good, say, feedbacks. It's 97.5 over 100. I think you need to get something higher than 90. As you can see, they say, okay, the project is well written, original, innovative, and here you can see what they ask for. Also, it's highly interdisciplinary, goals are credible. There are weakness parts too. For example, they say, okay, as a minor weakness, the state of the art is incompletely described for like nano antenna part. This is a negative feedback from a friend of mine. Here, for example, weaknesses are more in terms of numbers, and the first three were particular to the field, but the last two are notable. For example, they say, although the researchers show commitment, the output is relatively modest. So apparently they expect more articles in that field. It depends on field to field, and even that's why I thought I was lucky, because it's also depends how reviewers ask for. And also the knowledge transfer should be in two ways, but here they say it's mainly in the direction of the researcher. So how did I find my project? It was an extension of my PhD study. In that case, the advantage is you already have some publications on the field, and it shows that if they are recent, it shows that the topic is already novel. But the biggest disadvantage is you could repeat yourself, because you already worked on this topic for so much. Okay, now what will be the new thing? That's why I try to convince reviewers about novelty and impact. So I clearly and briefly describe what I did before. So I did not make things complicated, and I did not spend lots of pages for this purpose. But I only get very deep in details about novelty and what I will do next and how it will be different. And also I emphasize the contribution to host, between the host and me. So it was the project, and I will try to describe you briefly. So the plants are green because they are not absorbing at green. They are more reflecting and more they are absorbing in red and blue. So that's why, for example, I put a color bar to show that clearly because of the chlorophylls, and they reflect green. I thought, okay, we can use some phosphor to change this yellow light of the sun to red light so that plants can use it more, because the sun green light has the most dominant part, and it's not used as efficiently as red in the plants. But the problem was when we put phosphor, it was converting the light but sending all equally to all directions, and we are losing half of it. That was the problem. And in my PhD, I addressed this problem by a patent. It's a bit complicated, a light contribution and distribution system. With the mercury, we proposed using nano antennas in a more simplistic, but in theory, it's much more complicated. So I found this problem from my daily life. I proposed my PhD study thanks to my aquariums. I was raising plants in the aquarium, and I checked the light spectrum is not same with the sun. I checked the details, the plant side, etc. And I found this open gap in the literature. And you can also find say your PhD supervisors that's working on the specific field. For example, my supervisor in France, he was a specialist in this like nano antenna electromagnetics, which I was not an expert. I'm still not an expert. So it shows the two-way transfer. And also, as you can see here, there's one side biology, the other side electromagnetics. It's interdisciplinary. It doesn't apply in my case, but there's also gender studies where you can gain more points. And also, at the end of the day, when we write articles or send some proposals, people can read and say, okay, but so what? We need to address some problems in our research. Okay, maybe it's novel, but it's novel because nobody found it to be worthy to perform a research on it. But we need to convince people that it's worth of paying people taxes on that. So here we can say, okay, it helps increasing the crops and address the zero hunger and no poverty cases. So lastly, we need to mention what's next because they also know that it's a postdoctoral fund, and we need to see what we will do after we finish. So at there I described I can find some in academia or out of academia jobs about this topic, which I found, and unfortunately, they didn't accept me to continue and wait a bit, so I quit early after 13 or 14 months and joined a permanent position, Saint-Gobain. So I want to thank you and France, Pulse, and Institute Peprim for welcoming me. Also, I'm happy to share my application files. You can reach me. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rafat. That was a great presentation, really useful. I'm sure everyone found it very insightful. I can see that we've had quite a lot of questions come throughout today's webinar. You may have seen that the speakers have been trying to answer a few as we've been going through, but we'll take around 10-ish minutes to answer a few questions that you have all submitted. So firstly, there's a few questions which are directed at all speakers, and then some are for specific speakers. So I will specify when that is the case. So one of the first questions is, how would you define a postdoc researcher? Is there an age limit or a specific number of years of experience that a researcher would need to be classified as a postdoctoral researcher?
So I can reply to this. I think I've already done it in the chat, but in case others have not seen. So there is no age limit, but there is indeed a limit of up to 8 years, or the maximum 8 years after obtaining the PhD degree. There are certain conditions which, whoever is interested can take a look into how this is calculated. So we're not talking about 8 full calendar years, depending on the different breaks that researchers have had. So there is a way to calculate, but indeed it is maximum 5 years. Yeah, make the maximum 8 years, I'm sorry, after obtaining the PhD degree.
Thank you. And then a specific question for Jennifer. Someone's asked, how can I build a strong research network and collaborations to strengthen my application?
Yeah, of course, it's good if you already have a strong network and cooperation before the application. But what I mean is to explain the evaluator the usefulness of the fellowship. So you just need to demonstrate the motivation to abide it during the project. So it's not a problem if you don't have a big network and lot of cooperation before, but it's better if you have some, so we can see that you have an international profile. But it's not mandatory to have something very developed. So what is important is to show that you understand that the program is here to let you develop this.
Thanks, Jennifer. Somebody has asked, would you be able to guide me on the most appropriate opportunities for advanced academics? So I guess they're referring to those with more experience as a researcher. Are there specific opportunities which would be better?
I don't know if this is for any specific speaker or should it be for me, but I can take up. Yeah. So within MSCA for postdoctoral fellowships, we had the limitation that I just mentioned. There are, however, but this is something that really depends on the specific program under co-fund. So one of the actions I mentioned, we do have postdoctoral programs, but really the modalities and the requirements depend on the specific program. What we fund directly is the setup of the program, the consortium basically, and then they will decide themselves on exactly what requirements they will have. When it comes to also outside of MSCA, when it comes to more experienced researchers, there is, of course, the European Research Council, again, but very competitive, but ERC would be an opportunity for researchers who have more experience. If needed, I can also provide maybe the link to the general source. I'm also trying, I can type it in the chat, I will look into it.
That would be useful, thank you. And then this question, I think, is probably directed to you, Refet. How can I make my proposal stand out to reviewers?
I don't know if I can mention specific points after seeing the proposal, but yeah, to me, first thing that I will look at, it should be clear. Because when you look through somebody's work, you are most of the time get confused, try to understand what's going on. So just let others to read your proposal and ask them to be very critical. And remind them that if they don't be critical, then the reviewers will be, and the consequences will be harsher. So find critical people, good scientists that you know of, and ask them to critique your work. And also choose them that they won't be familiar to your work. so that they don't have the tunnel effect and they can see from others reviewers' perspective.
That's really useful. Thank you, Refat. I think we have time for a few more questions, but not too many. Somebody has asked, what does receiving EU funding increase my chances of securing a permanent academic position?
Sometimes, yes. I know the people who had a Marie Curie fellowship, and and they all say that they open doors, of course. Yeah, it's validation that you are excellent and your project is excellent too. So it's a well-known program. So of course it's open doors, but if you don't have, you can, yeah, of course, find another program and you can develop expertise and in order to have a permanent position. So it's not mandatory, of course.
Thanks, Jennifer. Maybe another one or two more questions. I think this one's probably aimed at you, Maria. Somebody has asked if you could inform them of any current or upcoming calls specifically for researchers at risk.
Well, unfortunately, I cannot, because we just had a call closed in January, as you know already, and I already mentioned, under the SAFE project, which is, again, not part of MSCA, the program itself. And this is the last one that I am aware of. I mean, this is precisely why we have this pilot scheme as in the form of SAFE, because there is no European level fellowship scheme that researchers at risk can apply for. This is why we are having this tested. I know 60 fellowships is a very limited number, looking at the need, but we are doing our best. So at the moment, this is what we have. As I already said, and Jennifer said as well, MSCA is very competitive, we are aware, but also I'm using this as an encouragement also to invite researchers or those who are actually interested maybe in doctoral programs as well to apply to the programs that we already fund. But SAFE is the latest at the moment.
Thanks, Maria. That's useful. I'm conscious that we have run over slightly and just a few closing remarks to make. So I think that will have to be all the questions for today. As we've mentioned, we will be sharing all of the presentations from today's speakers, which will include the links that they've made reference to. And if people have, specific questions, you can send them either over to me or to Sarah, and we will try and get back to you. We'll pass them on to the speakers, and hopefully we'll be able to get some responses for you on specific questions. I've loaded a poll onto the webinar just to get some feedback. I'd be most grateful if you could complete that. It should only take 30 seconds maximum. But we will be following up with a formal feedback form, which we would really appreciate if you could complete. It's really helpful for us to know the type of topics that would be helpful moving forward for researchers at risk. I would like to thank everybody for attending today, and I would really like to thank today's speakers. I think all presentations have been really useful, really insightful, and I hope all the participants have enjoyed today's webinar. And we will send out an email to everybody who has attended today and with the link to the recording of today's webinar along with the presentations. So I'd just like to thank everybody for your time today. If any of the speakers have any closing remarks, please do speak up now. But if not, I'd just like to thank you all, and I hope everybody has a lovely day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. I would just like to say that, perhaps it's also useful to, for MSCA related questions to contact national contact points who we could not answer. So this is also publicly available information. So just an encouragement, because there is a very strong national support network for this.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you, Maria. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time. Have a nice day.